All right, let's go ahead and get started. So, thank you so much for joining today. My name is Lindsay Williams, and I am a senior marketing manager at Banzai. I'm actually a former customer, a very happy customer. When Banzai had an opportunity, I jumped at the chance to come work for them. Previously, I worked in field marketing for CenturyLink for 6 years, and Corinne, who is also here presenting today, has worked for Avanta, Microsoft, agencies, and she is an absolute content and event specialist. So we are so lucky to have her today. So just quickly, a little bit about Banzai. So Banzai is the leading marketing automation event registration platform. So what does that mean? Basically, what that means is we drive butts in seats to regional field marketing events, but not just butts, the right butts. So how do we do this? We create a targeted list for you based on your event location and your target audience. A whole bunch of variables go in: company size, titles that you're looking for, specific target accounts, etc. And then once that list is approved, we launch our outreach campaign, which is a specialized cadence of emails and calls leading up to your event, driving registrations, including confirmations and reminders. So that's just a little bit of background about us. As far as for the webinar today, just a little housekeeping. Yes, we are recording the webinar, so don't worry if anything cuts out or you want to be able to go back and replay it. We will be recording it. Also, there's a Q&A feature at the bottom of your Zoom. So if you just click on that, you can ask us a question, and I will be checking it throughout the webinar to try and make sure we're answering any questions or bringing any questions up that we want to discuss. So that is it, and I will hand it over to our fabulous Corinne.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Lindsay. Really appreciate it. Like Lindsay said, my name is Corinne Stratton, and I am the head of marketing here at Banzai. I've been here for about 4.5, 5 months. It's been a really, really awesome experience. My background, for the past 7 or 8 years has been really, predominantly event focused, specifically around content and programs when it comes to events. So that's definitely my sweet spot. And I'm really excited to be here today, hosting today's webinar on how to produce a well-attended marketing event. Now, we realize there are not a lot of secrets when it comes to events. You guys are the experts. You've seen it. You've done it all. From venue cancellations to difficult speakers, and even to hosting events that really surpass all expectations. You guys are truly the experts. So it's our goal to give you, just a handful of insights that will help you hone in on your overall event strategy and help you produce great events going into 2019 and beyond. So I wanted to start today with just a reminder of why you're all doing this, why you're in events. I think it's really easy, at least it was for me when I was, out there and producing events, on a monthly basis, to kind of get caught up in the details and the stress and the logistics. And you're just like asking yourself, like, is this even making an impact? Does this matter? Does me talking to this, having 30 emails going back and forth with this hotel or with this speaker, like, is this really going to have an impact? And I want to remind you that it really does. What you're doing as marketing leaders, as event leaders, is really important. It does matter, and it is making a significant impact on the business. So much so, actually, that Visibo reported, I think early this year, that 87% of C-suite executives believe in the value of events and plan to continue to invest more in the future. So when things get a little crazy, get a little hairy, just remember that your work is being noticed and it is important and it is valued. So again, why events really matter. One of the biggest ways is that they really impact the business and help close deals by accelerating the sales journey. I mean, all of us know B2B organizations are pretty notorious for having long sales cycles. I thought this was really interesting. The Harvard Business Review recently released a research report. It's called The Event Marketing Evolution. And they found that event attendance reduced the sales cycle by 25%. I mean, that's huge. They found that if someone was to attend an event, the number of days to close averaged 49 days. But those who do not attend averaged more around 65 days. So again, it's really important and is having a huge impact. And of course, they create the opportunity for prospects to hear directly from you and from your customers, whether it's through presentation or networking. And of course, face-to-face time is so valuable. And then one thing that we continue to remind our customers, we just think it's really important to remember, is just because someone didn't show up, I know this is all about having a well-attended event, but just because someone doesn't show up doesn't mean they aren't a warm lead. Every registration is someone your sales team can follow up with, and they should follow up with. They need to follow up with. They are definitely leads for your business. So when it comes to getting your guests to register and attend your event, it is imperative that you focus on the content. Whether it's an after-work happy hour or a full-day conference, your prospects want to know that they will walk away with new and useful information. Use your content as a catalyst to getting your prospects to show up. From executing up to 60 regional events per week, we've learned that the most successful events are focused around thought leadership topics. And this can come in many different forms, whether it's a session that's a customer presentation, maybe you have a subject matter expert taking the stage, you're hosting a roundtable discussion, a panel, even networking. Your prospects hear sales pitches all the time. So give them a story or an opportunity to network that they have not had before that allows them to learn something new. And really, that is more than just a demo. The goal is to understand your audience, and you develop your content by knowing who they are. So you can do that by creating a target audience persona. So what does it mean to understand your target audience? When it comes to getting the right people in the room at your event, you need to focus on really getting past the noise of all the other events, the meetings, the needs that are on your prospects' calendars. They are getting inundated every day with different activities, different things they need to attend. So you need to create an opportunity that they can't miss. And the only way to truly do that is by understanding who they are. So this is a quote that I love. It's from Banzai's head of operations, Andy. We were talking and I asked him, what contributes to a well-attended event? And he said, your topic needs to be relevant to the designated audience, and they should live or work close to where the event is being held. If you are lacking relevance or proximity, your results are going to be mediocre at best. And I thought, wow, okay, it's a little intense, but that's great. If you are lacking relevance or proximity, your results are going to be mediocre at best. And one of the reasons I love this quote is because it's a great reminder to not overcomplicate our events. Keep them relevant, keep them simple, easy to attend. I think, sometimes destinations events are the right answer, but more than often, it is about having an event that is close to home, close to work, someplace they don't have to hop on a plane to attend. Okay, so this I find a little challenging, but I think it's really important. Banzai has found that casting a smaller net when trying to recruit prospects to your event is sometimes more effective. It often is more effective because it means you have a specific person or attendee in mind, and it allows you to create an agenda and messaging that is really, really targeted. For me, sometimes I'm like, I just want, anyone to show up. The more we can get our brand out there, more people talking about us, the better. But then that kind of dilutes your message, that dilutes your outreach that's going out. You don't get the same results that you would normally want. So here are questions that I ask myself when looking at who I want to attend my event. And so I hope you can find these useful as well. What roles do you want in the room? I think that is crucial, but sometimes even more importantly, it's what roles do you not want in the room, right? Who probably shouldn't be there? Who's not that decision maker? Who's not going to make an impact and help you accelerate, that deal? Are you targeting a particular industry? Is this a healthcare event? If so, we probably don't need anyone from the financial industry there. Or is it broader, right? Do you have specific companies you want to attend? What size of company should be there? And then again, what size of company should not be there? So these are all things that you should be considering when you're creating that target audience persona. And just, a quick example, if you're looking at a certain type of, let's say like a CXO, you may find that they don't usually have time for a happy hour event or a half-day conference. They instead attend events where they hear and learn from their peers in a really efficient way. So kind of taking that into account, you might realize, an all-day conference is not the right answer. Maybe it's a roundtable breakfast facilitated by your company and a subject matter expert. That could be the right answer for getting them to register and, more importantly, getting them to attend. Another crucial factor when planning your event is to really understand where your audience lives and works. Like Andy said, proximity is really important. We found that most people will not register for an event that is more than 20 to 25 miles away from either their home or their work. So it's important to take that time to determine where the majority of your prospects are and pick a venue that is close. So looking at this map here, you can tell that this actually probably is not the best venue for you to choose, right? If this were Banzai and we were looking at this, we'd see, oh my gosh, all of our prospects are in the red. That's where we should be. So we would look at this and say, you know, we need to rethink about what we're doing and about where this event is being held. We actually had a customer that had this kind of face this challenge head on. They were an enterprise tech customer, and they gave us their target list, their venue details, and we realized, based on our research, that their venue was not where it should be, right? It wasn't near their target audience. So they were able to quickly correct and make a decision on whether or not that event should happen and where it should happen. Once you understand who your target audience is, it is important to reach out to them in a way that is most likely to get them to take the step of registering for your event. So we all know that timing is crucial when it comes to hosting an event, but it's also really crucial when it comes to the timing of your outreach. We have found that people are more likely to take the action of registering for an event in the middle of the week. So aim to send invites on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and definitely avoid the weekends. No one likes getting an email on Saturday or Sunday, so don't send any invites those days either. So Banzai has a best practice to begin our event outreach 3 to 4 weeks before a regional event. We have found that prospects are more likely to register for events in the fall. So stick to planning events in October, the November timeframe, without outreach starting about a month or so before. And another thing that we found is that in order to really create invites that make an impact, personal invitations are key. Your prospects then feel connected to you, they feel connected to your brand, they feel like you've taken an vested interest in them and them attending. This does not mean in any way that you should forego marketing emails or digital promotion. Those touch points are still really, really important, but the personal outreach may be just what it takes to get them to sign up. Okay, actually, sorry, we'll go back one more. Okay, great, you got them to register. That's awesome, but your work really isn't done yet. Like we said, the goal of this webinar and the goal of events in general is we want to make sure they attend. So how do you do that? You do this by establishing a confirmation plan. What happens when your prospect signs up? Do they get an email? Do you personally send them out a calendar invite? What about a phone call? We actually recommend all of the above. It's also important to remind your registrants of the upcoming event. At Banzai, we do this both, again, by phone and by email. And I know it can you start to think like, oh my goodness, I am emailing these people left and right, like they're gonna get so tired of hearing from me. And the way to really avoid that is to make sure every time you give them some sort of communication, you're also giving them a piece of relevant, useful information. So maybe in your follow-up or your reminder email, you're gonna highlight parking, right? What should they know about parking? Maybe you highlight what the guest list looks like, not names or anything like that, but what type of titles are there? What type of companies are there? Maybe you give them background information on your speaker. Does your speaker have a book? Let them know about that. Do they have a blog? Anything like that that helps them learn more about the event, and also they'll constantly be reminded about the event. We found that people don't really mind the outreach if it means they're getting relevant and helpful information. So the small details, and we covered this a little bit, but the small details can really have a big impact on whether or not someone shows up. Over communication with your prospects may seem like an overkill, but really it is essential. This is kind of fun. Banzai has found that for customer audiences, attendance can range from about 40 to 75% based on your registration lists. For prospect events, that's more between 25 to 50%. So let's say you have 100 prospects registered for your event. You can probably expect anywhere from 25 to 50 to show up. But sometimes it seems like people are really looking for an excuse not to show up, right? So don't give them a reason. It's important for you to remove all the barriers that might stop them from coming. So kind of like what we said earlier, give your attendees all the information ahead of time and multiple times. Again, email, calendar invites, reminder calls, those are crucial. And it's also, important that you make sure the basics are covered. Again, we don't want them to give them a reason not to come. So some of this seems pretty obvious, but sometimes it's so obvious that we forget to do it, right? We just assume people get it. So cover parking, cover Wi-Fi, cover like how they're going to be able to find the room. How will they be able to access content after the event? What about food and drinks? Do they need to eat ahead of time? Is it just a happy hour? What should they expect? What should they plan for? And then one that we come across a lot is the ability to bring a guest. Sometimes you're going into these events, you don't really know anybody. So people often feel more comfortable either bringing a coworker or bringing a peer. So let them know if that's something they can do and how they can go about doing it. So post-event, you've hosted this incredible event with ideally very little attrition. So now what? What do you do? Unfortunately, your work does not end when the event does. There's still a lot more that needs to be done to kind of wrap it up and put a bow on it. And in order to make sure your event is really as great as possible, it is crucial that you track everyone who attended and also everyone who didn't attend, and understand where they are in your organization's funnel, where they are and really who they are. It's also, again, sometimes it seems so simple, but it has such a huge impact, and that's thank yous. Send thank you notes. Specifically to your attendees, a follow-up email is great. To your participants, did you have a speaker? Did you have panelists? And then your event hosts, did you have a customer that allowed you to host their event at their business? Send them notes. Again, we're all for emails, but that VIP experience, if you're wanting to do that, a handwritten note goes so far. And why follow-up is so important? Again, it's just one more touch point, right? Another way to get in front of your prospects, to talk to them, share with them how to access the content, give them a way to provide feedback, and also it allows them to know how they can, stay informed going forward. And then I think the biggest thing is having your sales rep follow up with your event attendees and your no-shows. There should be a plan in place way before the event even starts of how that follow-up is going to happen. Because again, every registration is a lead, and every registration deserves a follow-up. And then, okay, so this I think is really, really important. And sometimes we get caught up in the day, we get caught up in events, the next event, that we don't always have that internal meeting where we talk to our team members and our stakeholders and find out what their feedback was from the event. What worked well? Where can you be more aligned? What feedback did they receive? Because maybe this event, wasn't exactly what you wanted. It wasn't exactly what your stakeholders wanted. That's okay. Have this meeting so you can make sure your next event is even better, that you get more attendees, that you learn from the challenges and you learn from the wins as well, and you implement that into your next event planning. So I can't emphasize this enough. Having that post-event meeting with your team is really crucial. Okay, so before I hand this back over to Lindsay, I wanted to provide you with a few resources, Banzai resources, that I hope can help you as you start planning in 2019 and make sure your events are as successful as possible. So one of the things we have is the event toolkit. You can download this right off our website. I'll send it to you all after the webinar. But this is a great resource for tracking your events all in one place. So in this template, you can use, there's a budget tab, there's a speaker tab, there's an agenda tab, logistics. All of that is here. So that way you You don't have to have a million spreadsheets going on. You can have this nice one spreadsheet. So feel free to download this. I think it's really, really helpful. It also includes some questions to consider. So like for each tab with your speakers, here's what you should be thinking about. Here's what you should be thinking about when you're developing your budget and so on. All of that's in this toolkit. We also have a Banzai newsletter. So this goes out at the end of every month. It covers some great Banzai updates, but then also some of the blogs that we've highlighted the past month, and then any industry updates that we have. And then finally, we have the location guides. So this, I love this tool. I think this tool is so cool. So our team has put together location guides for pretty much every major city in the United States, along with big cities in Europe and Australia. And each guide features venue ideas for small events, roundtable discussions, medium-sized events, like lunch and learns, and to your major conferences. You get venue ideas for each type of event. So go ahead and go to the website, look for our location guides under resources, and you can search for your city. And if you don't see your city, let me know. We definitely want to keep these going and be as helpful as possible. And also, if you have a venue that you've really liked, let us know that too, because we'd love to hear from you. That's it for me. Thank you all for taking the time to chat today and talk with me and listen to our webinar. I hope you find this content useful. And I'm going to hand this back over to Lindsay.
Great. Thank you so much, Corinne. That was awesome. So I did get one question about our prospect geo data. So what we do is based on the location of your event, we send you a list of all the titles you're looking for that we have via our database and software through a list that you then get to preview and say, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. These are the type of people I want being invited to my event, or this looks great, remove these few people. So we send that out before the event so you can see it. And someone else asked a question about asking us to send them this recording. I will be more than happy to do that. No worries there. We will add you to the distribution list. So I don't see any other questions, so I think we will wrap up here. But if you need to connect with us, you can see all of our emails are listed right there, Matt, Corinne, and myself, or visit getbanzai.com to learn more. And of course, we'd love to have you follow us on social, so definitely hook up with us there. And yeah, if there's no other questions, I will... we'll call it a day. Thank you so much for joining. We really appreciate it.